Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Gainesville meeting at the Cade Museum. Please remember at this time to silence your cell phone, and if you're joining us or watching us on YouTube, please remember to register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. And now please help me welcome Pete Enwall to the podium for our song and pledge.
Okay, I'm going to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. Okay. Further and further. That's it. I'm good. Birthday later, okay. Occasionally, you may not know this, but occasionally John Gregory and I cross-train. You can't hear me. All right, let me try this. Occasionally, John Gregory and I cross-train, and so next week he'll probably come in with a joke, but I was inspired and thought I would just see what I could do. So John's wife said she heated the pool, and wouldn't a swim be so cool? John's teeth began to clatter, and he made such a clatter. And she came out and said, "April Fool." Oh well, I'll stick to jokes. You know how we feel. All right, so we're gonna sing "My Country 'Tis of Thee" today. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pete. And now for our invocation, Deborah Newell.
Thank you, and what a wondrous reason I get to be here to give the invocation today. Kevin Thorpe and his beautiful bride are at the hospital in anticipation of the birth of their little one. So I am glad to be here. Let us pray. Gracious and omniscient Creator, we gather together giving you honor, glory, and praise for sunrises, sunsets, rain, flowers, baby critters, baby humans, and the opportunity to better our world through leveraging time, skills, talents, and energy. We thank you that when days and times seem darkest, we can believe that in 3 days we will have your best once again. We treasure time at our luncheons and fellowships to share with friends, make new friends, and share resources so that all could move forward graciously and victoriously. We ask you to give us kind words, clear sight, and creative solutions to challenges you ask us to partner with you in. May we each experience health, your goodness and mercy in all aspects of our life. We ask and thank you for the blessing of another day to serve. In the name of your risen Son, amen.
Thank you, Deborah. You may be seated. But if you're a guest or visiting Rotarian, please remain standing to be introduced. We'll have a microphone coming around. Don's coming around with a microphone now.
I'm John Gregory, and I would very much like to introduce this gentleman from the Hippodrome. Right, and his name is Trevor Ward.
It's actually Trevor Wise, but this is my second meeting here. I just came back for another round, and Richard invited me to come and join you today. So thank you for having me.
Fellow Rotarians, I know some of you doubt I ever graduated high school, but I have somebody here to prove that I did, because he graduated with me. My high school teammate, #1 quarterback in Alachua County back in the day, a retired colonel in the Air Force, Tom Dobson. Glad to have you with us, Tom.
Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you join us. And now let's bring Pete back up to the podium for March, or what month are we in? April birthdays. April birthdays, and if I read your name after Pete sings, or let me start over on this. We're now going to celebrate April birthdays. I'm going to read the names, and if it's your birthday this month, please bring your dollar up to the podium. These dollars, as a reminder, go to our reading safari. And then after we do that, Pete's going to sing the birthday song. So, birthdays for the month of April: Jean Chalmers, Marie Collins, Billy Dodd, Judy Erickson, Paul Gibbs, Iffy Alachua, Patrick Irby, Ryan Kern, Bill Martin, Jeff Montgomery, Jenna Ostis, Charlie Palmer, Linda Reinhart, Jean Ryan, George Sims, Jeff Sims, Mary Kate Walker, and Greg Young. Happy birthday, everyone. Come on back, Pete. You don't want me singing.
Okay, with gusto now, you put some life into it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fellow Rotarians. Happy birthday to you, and many more.
Very good, very good. And now for our announcement, Greg Young.
Thank you, 2 or 3 people in the crowd. So you may recall when we did the Service Above Self Award for Miss Vivian Filer this year, she was unable to attend because she was recovering from a upper respiratory infection, and was in rehab for a good bit of time. She's back home now, and she recently sent a card that I want to share with you, thanking us for what the recognition we awarded to her. She said to the Rotary Club, "Please accept my gratitude to Rotary for bestowing on me such a high honor. I always take stock of the fact that there are many others you could have chosen. I'm delighted that I was chosen, and I appreciate that. It has been my honor to work with many citizens who have been inspired to give their all for our wonderful city. Respectfully, Vivian Filer." So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Greg. And now for our craft talk, I'm going to bring Richard Allen up to the podium to introduce the craft talk.
Thank you. It's my honor today to introduce Betsy Riley.
And I can't say that I had anything to do with her joining the club because she took it upon herself to come find us and come to the first meeting. But I was lucky enough to be sitting around the table with several of us who got to meet her on that first meeting. And we were all just blown away by her positivity and her energy. So really, really great to have you in the club. I'm looking forward to your craft talk. I'm going to just really quickly say she is the Sustainability Manager at Alachua County Sustainability, Equity, and Economic Development Strategies team with the county. She has an undergraduate degree from Wellesley College and a PhD in environmental science and policy from Michigan State. She's worked with the U.S. Geological Survey, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So kind of busy. And she's also co-founder of Ragobi, a system that helps researchers develop and maintain their research library. And in her spare time, she's part of the Empower Coalition with the Cultural Arts Coalition, and she's on the board of the Community Weatherization Coalition. So thank you. And with that, Betsy, thanks.
Okay, so you guys get to hear a lot from Alachua County today. I did have a couple slides. They're mostly pictures, so don't worry. Oh, and I left my... So quick background, I was told that this is more personal than professional, so here's a little bit about who I am. I grew up in rural Oklahoma on a cattle ranch. This is me and my three sisters. On the top left corner there, we are harvesting our own Christmas tree. So I grew up in a pretty rural area. Some other fun facts, I'm a huge nerd. The picture to the right there is me at the Renaissance Fair with my little family. And then at the bottom left is actually one of my wedding pictures. We were married during the pandemic. It was a wild ride, so. Also, I am a mom of two. My very first Rotary meeting, I was 8 months pregnant. And now for my craft talk, I'm also 8 months pregnant, so you're not imagining anything. So we're very excited. We'll be welcoming our new baby in May, and we're going old school, so I don't know, boy or girl. We'll find out. I'm throwing these up there. I know we already said them, mostly in case there are other Wellesley or Minnesota people in the crowd, so I could say hi. Yes, a little bit of background since that was already covered, but this is me in my USGS hat with the Fish and Wildlife Service Blue Duck. So I worked several years at the federal level, and before finally coming to my senses and joining local government. My decision for that was largely because a lot of what we do at the federal level is push money out. And I just wanted an opportunity to get a little bit more roots in the community, especially post-pandemic. I was really looking for a way to get involved, to be present in my community. It's why I reached out. Back in Michigan, I had a close family friend who invited me out to Rotary. I didn't join at that time because I was working on my PhD and I knew I was leaving soon. And I've been delighted that everyone's been very welcoming here. So why did I join Rotary? Well, this is where I grew up. If you don't notice any big cities around there, it's because there aren't any. So I grew up, like I mentioned, on a cattle ranch about 8 miles outside of an 8,000 person town, which was the county seat for my county. So that was the biggest city in the whole county that I grew up in. It was very, very rural. And I mention it because it's such a big impact on my sort of ideas and views of sustainability and who I am and that connection. And I wanted to tell this, am I at 3 minutes already? Oh, okay. I had a professor who once asked, when I told him, he was a biologist, and I told him I was going to join sustainability. And he said, I guess that makes me the enemy. And so a lot of even though he was a bat ecologist, so a lot of my work and a lot of things that I've been focusing on has been on trying to bridge that divide and show that sustainability isn't crazy environmentalists doing crazy things. It's about improving all of our quality of life. And I joined Rotary because I feel like it's the real deal. You'll have to excuse a pregnant lady for showing pictures of my children. But I joke that these are my commitments to a real sustainability and a real sustainable future. And Rotary was important to me because I feel like this is the place where you can really address the root causes and the root issues that address our society, impact our society. So that's why I've been delighted to join. And thank you all for welcoming me.
Thank you, Betsy. It's good to get to know you a little bit better. And now I'd like to welcome our president, Linda Reinhardt, to the podium.
All right. Betsy, I do have a four-way plaque for you in honor of you completing your craft talk. So if you want to come up and get this, and you can display this in your office. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, before I turn it over to our speaker, just a couple of quick announcements. I did want to let everybody know that recently the board approved a $250 sponsorship for the Alachua County Civics Challenge. So we'll be participating in that. Thank you to Michael Pellet to bring that opportunity to us, and we're happy to always assist with our schools. I also want to welcome a familiar face to everybody, but Dana Nemini has rejoined our club as of this month. So we're happy to have her back in our fold, and look forward to continuing the relationship. And thank you for being a part of our family here. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Helen Warren to come up and introduce our speakers for today.
Well, I'll say this is a great day for Alachua County, and really glad to be able to follow Betsy up with another county service that we have. When I was a city commissioner, one of the things I learned is people either want government to do everything or nothing. And what I've been telling people since then is that we, the people, need to learn how to do more of some of everything. And I got involved with a group called Building Community in a Changing Climate. And through that connection, I was invited to a training that the county was having to develop an interfaith coalition of community people who would be able to respond in a time of disaster, whether it be a natural disaster or a human disaster. And from that process, I've been able to work with Francine Vincent and Caden Gentry, who are the county's service people for emergency management. And the idea is to prepare before the emergency so that when that emergency actually happens, we do that old-fashioned phone tree, you know, we connect right away. And Francine comes to us with a lot of experience in emergency management with 20 years of service. She was stationed out in the U.S. Air Force with Johnson Air Force Base and Tyndall Air Force Base. And she worked many times in other countries with Saudi Arabia and Jordan during our Operation Enduring Freedom. And then in civil service, she returned here and got involved with the University of Florida's Gator Safe Emergency Management Program, where she helped enhance their services, and was especially useful during the COVID-19 pandemic. Words are great. She has been instrumental in establishing the Alachua County Community Organizations Active in COAD, which is known as COAD. And if you search that on the internet, you will find that this is a national movement, basically, where it's being recognized that we need to all help out. When there's a tree that goes down, if it lands on public property, we can get Public Works to come to it. But when it lands on our churches and our individuals' homes, we need to call together others. And I know Rotary has a well-established chainsaw gang, and I think there's probably other things that we can all help out somehow. So Francine and Caden, thank you for being here, and come on up.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much, Helen, and thank everybody for inviting me to this one. Good, awesome. Okay, thank you for inviting me. Ever since I've met Helen and our Ellen and Sue Blythe, I have been so overwhelmed with their enthusiasm with our new organizations. And I keep meeting more new organizations and meeting new people around Alachua County. I've lived here for almost I have 4 years, just a couple of days ago. And it just amazes me. So if you'd like to pull up all right, so this is what we're here to talk about, the Alachua County Community Organizations Active in Disaster. Before I get into how I even started this, I'm gonna give you a little snippet. My boss, Jen Grice, she actually tasked me right before she went on maternity leave, right, literally 3 days after Hurricane Idalia hit. She asked me to reach out to faith-based organizations. And so I said, how do I do that? So I started Googling faith-based organizations in Alachua County, and I still didn't even come up with an all-encompassing list. So I found a list through our Board of Commissioners, and they had an invocation directory, and I started reaching out to them. And then I had the pleasure of attending our Florida Emergency Preparedness Association mid-year. It's a sort of like a conference, and I attended the Florida VOAD meeting. I kind of just crashed this meeting, but then I learned about this organization and how we could have built this. So this is how it all got started. But so I'm just going to talk about emergency management in our office. I'm going to talk a little bit about the national VOAD and the Florida VOAD, and then Alachua COAD. So we have 4 full-time staff. Myself, I'm an emergency management coordinator. Caden Gentry, raise your hand. He's our brand new emergency management coordinator. He's only been with us for 2 months, so we are so grateful that he has filled a huge void. Jen Grice is our director, and David Peaton is our assistant director. And that is actually when there is blue skies and there's nothing going on. It's just the 4 full-time staff. Well, when things start getting messy, and the winds start, and the flooding, and all the types of incidents that happens, we will expand to over 50 people into our office, helping our community respond and recover for all those incidents. So I want to make sure that you all understand that, yes, there's just 4 of us in our office, but we expand exponentially when something happens in Alachua County. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a natural disaster. So the National Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster, you're going to hear me go back and forth with VOAD and COAD. They're pretty much the same thing. It's just what you have decided to name your organization. The National VOAD is a group of volunteer organizations that can actually respond nationwide. So everything that we can do here in our county, and then there are people who are willing to get groups together that will volunteer their time and their effort to go to different parts of the country to help them. When incidents happen, when disasters happen, people need as much help as they can possibly get. Especially in these tough times, this is where these organizations come together. And it could be something as simple as just sitting down with a family who's had their entire lives decimated, just needing a shoulder to cry on, to somebody who is actually has the ability to help rebuild a home that they lost. Or maybe there's an organization out there that can provide legal assistance. These are the organizations that come together that just go anywhere that they are possibly needed. And they basically they're joined by different state organizations. But I want you guys to understand that the 4 words that you'll probably hear me say many, many times is the communication, the collaboration, the cooperation, and the cooperation, communication, collaboration, and cooperation. Those are the 4 C's of the National VOAD. And then you have the Florida VOAD. And we have just became members of the Florida VOAD. And I am so proud of the Alachua County COAD to be part of this. There are 50 members and counting. And these are all these organizations that have come together. You name a type of organization, American Red Cross, United Way, state, county governments, you name it, have come together and are able to respond throughout the state. And I am always in such awe of these people who are willing to just take their time and take their organization and just move across the state just to help everybody. And that's what I really wanted from Alachua County as well. Volunteer Florida, they're the agency that work up in the state agency, and they're the ones that kind of control all the COADs. They're the ones that are in charge of all the volunteer and donations across the state. So when disaster hits, donations are coming in from everywhere. So we needed somebody that can help organize and kind of make sure that all the need is going and the right things are getting to the right people. I don't know about any of you, but I've heard awful stories that people up north decided to send lots of winter coats to people in Florida, like we need them, right? So these are the people are actually going to go out and say, yeah, people in Miami are not going to need winter coats, especially during July. But this is the beauty of Volunteer Florida. They work with the COADs and the VOADs, and there's also things called long-term recovery groups as well. But now I want to talk about the Alachua County COAD. As I stated, it started off with me just reaching out to faith-based organizations, but it has grown to so much more. I love each and every one of the people who have joined. As you can see, the Florida Presbyterian Disaster, the Clio Institute, the Archer Church of the Nazarene, Althea Church, all of these groups have come together and said that they have some form of ability and willingness to come together when we are in need during a disaster and any type of incident. So when you think about it, the government can only do so much. We can't be everywhere all the time. No matter how many dispatchers, sheriff officers, deputies, police officers, firemen are out in the community, not everybody understands or knows what's happening in specific neighborhoods. That's when I decided to reach out to faith-based organizations. Faith-based organizations are huge in Alachua County, and I figured these are the people that are going to know their parishioners the best. They're going to know who needed help prior to an incident and knows that who needs help after an incident. So when I got all these people together, I sent out interest forms, I sent out press releases, and I only got a few responses, but I said, I'm going to go with it. I invited them to come to our office, and I typed up some generic bylaws, and we all decided that we are willing to join this group and to work together. And this is how it started. So this picture is at our second meeting. This was at the Church of the Nazarene out in Archer, and I loved it because I had never been out to Archer, believe it or not. You would think somebody who'd lived here for 4 years, I'd been all over Alachua County, and I'd never had the opportunity. But we decided during that first meeting what our mission is. And it is dedicated to strengthening our community resilience and preparing local organizations to effectively respond, to recover from disasters through communication, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. This is something that's held near and dear to my heart. As Helen had spoken earlier, I don't know what's going to be happening all the way out in Archer. So I'm going to reach out to these organizations. I'm going to be funneling all the correct information that I know that's coming straight from the Board of County Commissioners. It's coming from our fire chief. And we're passing all this information out to the public. And we're doing that through the COAD. If I know there's a specific neighborhood that got hard hit, is flooded, and they need people to help clean out their homes because they can't afford it. They don't know where to reach out to. The government can only do so much, and money is not going to come quickly. Though yes, FEMA has gotten much better about passing along the money that's needed, but people need their homes fixed right then and there. This is where the COAD comes in. I'm going to be able to reach out to these organizations saying, hey, I need 10 bodies to go out to La Crosse. There's this neighborhood that got hard hit. I need people who are willing to help clean out a flooded home, to do a muck out, can help sanitize their houses. Honestly, the government organization can't do that. This is where the community comes in. People who are just willing to donate their time and their efforts to do it for their community. And I really hope that we can find more organizations that are willing to join us. But what we're doing now in Blue Skies is just letting people know that we do exist and that I want people to come join us. And it is so important of us as a community coming together. I need to know what's going on in your neighborhoods, and you want factual information coming straight from the county leaders, and I can provide that to you. And that is another reason why this COAD is great. People don't always believe social media. People will say the government is just feeding us, lies. But I'm telling you directly from the horse's mouth exactly what is happening in our county. And I need those organizations to keep funneling this information. The people in your neighborhoods and your communities, they trust you. And if you're the one that's telling them the information, then they're gonna believe you. And then in turn, they're gonna believe me. All I wanna do is help our community. I wanna make sure that our community is resilient and that we have community help, that we come together and do what we need to do to make sure that people can survive another hurricane season. So, membership, as I said, we want to expand. Right now, we only have about 10 organizations that have joined. If you know of any organization, hint, hint, Rotary Club would like to join, it's free, believe it or not. It's just a group of people that come together. Right now, we are doing monthly meetings. And I was just talking to Helen, is what is our topic of going to be next month? And I really just want people to get together and get to know each other and understand their capabilities. I have all the different organizations filling out what we called a capability assessment, and I can read all their answers. And I have the privilege of working with our emergency notification system, and I can put each individual organization in a group saying, these people are the ones that can help with cleaning it inside houses. These people, this group of individuals can help with spiritual care. I have another that can help deal with volunteer and donations. I have another group that said that they were willing to help with mass care, with sheltering. And I can send out specific emails and text messages to those organizations saying, hey, this is what happened. Do you have your volunteers? Can you report to a certain location? And then they can reply back saying, yes, they can help or no. I've had some other organizations saying, well, what if I can't help during an incident? That's fine, because if you are helping your own congregation, your own community, that is less for the county has to worry about. So please remember, during incidents, worry about yourself, worry about your own community. But if you have the ability and you have the gumption and you have the time, then you can reach out to us and say, yes, I'm willing to lend a hand and help my neighbors. The main thing that I want people to really understand is in the city of Gainesville, there is so much that programs that are offered in the city of Gainesville. What I haven't seen are organizations that help out in the rural areas. You were talking about how you grew up in rural areas. It's amazing how just some of the people and the organizations I've met, there are people who are far out from Gainesville who don't have enough money to eat, and their faith-based congregation feeds them on a daily basis. It broke my heart. And that is just during Blue Skies. Think about what would happen to them if their house got completely decimated during a hurricane. And they didn't have any way of communicating back to the county. How are we to know? This is where all of our organizations come together. They're going to provide us the information, and then we can coordinate the help that they need. So if the Rotary Club doesn't want to join, but if you know other organizations that would like to join, I would implore you to reach out to myself, you can reach out to Helen, and we can tell you all about our organization and when our meetings are. So this is when our next meeting is. April 18th, it's at noon. We have confirmed the UCG, which is United Church of God, and that of Gainesville. And that's the beauty of it. We keep changing the location of these meetings so people feel like it's really their meetings, their organization. It's not going to be in my office. I'm just the liaison. I'm the person that's going to pass along the information from the county. Though my director, my assistant director, and even Caden are heavily involved with our meetings. And we just want to make sure that we are coming together and we are really understanding our capabilities, and we're going to start mapping out that we know that we have people that can do certain skills in this part of the county and these skills. And when we get more cohesive and we come together and we start working together, then maybe we might be willing to volunteer our services to the whole state. So then when we know if something were horrible to happen down in Fort Myers, the Alachua County COAD could get a group of people together and go and help them. And it's going to be a vice versa, you know, a symbiotic relationship. So this is just a few things that the COAD can do. Point of distribution for food and water. Believe it or not, my office currently does not have a place to house food and water if we had a major disaster. So if we found organizations that had access to warehouses or big enough facilities that can hold several pallets, you could be stood up as a point of distribution where people would come to that place and they would receive the food and water they needed during the disaster. Debris cleanup. Every single emergency manager that I've ever met hates the word debris because you don't even know how much debris comes with a hurricane. I've even heard the state director say that if he sees another debris around Florida, he's just gonna cry. It's millions and millions of pounds of debris that happens specifically for a hurricane. You have disaster mental health and assistance. People always are going to need any type of mental health during, whether it's blue skies or gray skies, but when those incidents happen, it really does, it just makes people just feel like hopeless. And so we always ask for people who have any mental health training to come and just help these individuals, these families, lending equipment, sheltering. I'm also in charge of the Alachua County shelters. And though right now, Alachua County, we actually man our own shelters. We don't use the American Red Cross. So if you ever utilize a shelter, it's actually county employees that are actually manning those shelters. But these are only short-term solutions. But when it goes, because let me tell you, if an incident happens, the shelters might have to stay open longer than a few days. It could be weeks, it could be months, if it's something as bad as Katrina happens. So we would actually need extra help with helping with the sheltering, financial assistance, outreach. That is something that we can do during blue skies, during what we're doing now is outreach and just telling people about our organization. All right, so where do we want to be before hurricane season? I want to see our membership double, my minimum. I'm so grateful for Caden's ability to work with GIS because he's going to help us map out all our organization's capabilities. And then hopefully, knock on wood, that we don't actually have to utilize our COAD because we're not going to get hit by a hurricane. Besides the fact, just want to mention, they named one of the named storms as Francine, which is my name, and I'm very upset about this. And I promised everybody that Hurricane Francine will not touch Florida, and it better hold true. I was really upset about that. All right, but the one thing that we do also have is training. And believe it or not, the World Disaster Preparedness Center, I know that was a mouthful, is coming to Alachua County to train in how to mobilize faith-based organizations. It's June 6th. It's an all-day class. If you would like to attend, please let me know. I can get you signed up immediately. They're basically, even though it says faith-based organization, it is open to anybody. Anybody who just wants to come and learn a little bit more about what they can do during disasters. And that's all I have for you. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you for taking that initial leap of faith and just grabbing that bull by the horns. And it is very much needed. And I do think that there are a lot of resources in the community that can be organized to be brought to bear on that. My question is, what type of arrangements are being made for seniors, particularly those in assisted living or nursing homes? Or people with a disability who are not in their own homes, or maybe who are in their own homes. Is there any type of a registry and a process for checking on them and making sure they're okay?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you asked, because I'm also in charge of the special needs registry. And I also have the pleasure of reviewing all the healthcare plans for all group homes, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. So I know exactly what their evacuation plans, their sheltering plans, and so forth. If you know of somebody who is elderly, who needs assistance, has any special or functional needs, there is a special needs registry. If you go to our emergency management website, all you have to do is just Google emergency management, Alachua County, and it comes up. We even get Googled for non-emergency numbers for the sheriff's office, believe it or not. But if you go there, just click on the button that just says Special Needs Registry, and you have to fill out some information. And then the Florida Department of Health, the division at Alachua County, they're the ones that actually control the registry. I just make sure that they don't get behind on their numbers, and I just make sure that everybody's in the right categories, and they're going to find out the specific needs they have. We do open special needs shelters. We also coordinate transport. We have an agreement with the MV Transit that will get people from their home to the special needs shelter if needed. We ask people, if you do have the ability, if you want to evacuate, to please go to a safe place of your own choosing and not to choose a shelter. And the only reason why is just our shelters are bare bones. We're gonna give you a place to sleep, we're gonna give you food to eat and water to drink, but that's it. If you know of a place that you can go that you'd be more comfortable, please do. But you're more than welcome to come to any of our shelters.
Betsy, quick question off of Zoom. Jenny asks, maybe you covered it, but insurance coverage for those who are part of COAD, is that provided through government, or do the individual groups need to cover themselves?
We do not have our own insurance, but that is something I can definitely look into. I know that when I was part of the PTA, we did get coverage, and I will definitely ask my director about getting that. But currently we don't. It never occurred to me, but now that it's been brought to my attention, that is a very good idea. So thank you for that question.
Excuse me. I believe it was in 2004, we had 4 hurricanes come through Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just an amazing phenomena that there were so many deadfall and live fall and trees down on the roads. And a good friend of mine named the volunteers that would come out as academics with chainsaws, being a college town, and amateurs, and all the volunteers that would come out. Perhaps that is another source for getting people to help out, would be people connected with the university, in addition to Rotary, et cetera. But, you know, I would love to see a group that I could get involved with in it. UCG is one of those groups, and so is Rotary. Thanks.
No, I totally agree with you. Reaching out to the universities. Some of the things, when I did work, because I worked at the University of Florida Emergency Management Office, the first thing that the students are told is to go home. If they usually shut down classes. Some students do, some students don't, some might not be able to. But for the students who reside here full-time, go to Santa Fe College, I will reach out to them. We do have our contacts at the emergency management offices, Santa Fe and University of Florida. And I'm hoping that they're going to have some of their groups that are willing to join our COAD. And I think it's wonderful that during Hurricane Irma and the other hurricanes, that people were willing to come out and help one another.
Hi, I'm Wilbur Holloway. I'm the coordinator for the Chainsaw Gang. So if any of you would like to join the Chainsaw Gang, please get in touch with me, and I'll talk to you afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's exciting. Thank you. Thank you again for letting me go on and on about COAD.
Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing how we can work with you. In honor of you being here, we're going to make a donation to the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank in your name, so I want to give you that.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
So, we appreciate it, and hopefully we look forward to working with you in the future.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, so next week, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We have Meg Dennis coming, and she is going to teach us about how to de-stress at your desk. So a little interactive event next week. Quote of the day. The need is great, and so are the opportunities to make a difference. And that's Paul Newman. And final piece of business, our Rotary Reading Safari drawing number is 205. Number 205. With that, our meeting is adjourned.